Okay, so while Taylor's working on getting us live on LinkedIn, I guess we nothing worse than dead airspace. So I love to fill dead space.
Thanks.
So
I
I'll
can't
just
even
talk.
see you right now.
Well, that's all right. Don't worry about it. I'll just talk. I love to talk. So everybody, so we're here to talk about service today, and our definition of service, and why we at Creative Self Mastery, and also the four of us who lead up Everyday Conscious Leadership, why we believe that service is an integral part of success. But we wanted to define service today more than give you options for how to employ it. We feel at Creative Self Mastery on service-based programs, and so there's plenty of information you can access from us there. But today we figured, it's important to give our definition, because I think everybody defines service differently. And some of them actually define it as a dirty word. So that's the conversation we're going to have today. How are we? Are we live on LinkedIn?
We are live. We're just not live in the right place, but we're live on my profile. So we're live at least in two places.
Okay. Well, better to be alive in two places than dead in one.
Yeah.
So thanks, Mark, thanks for kicking us off. We'll still have a video on LinkedIn. And yeah, exactly. Today we're here to talk about service. I do want to welcome back anyone who's been listening to the recordings or joining us live to our show that's called Notes on Conscious Leadership. I'm Taylor Coburn. This is a show that I've started up here with my colleagues, Mark DeFrancia, who's also my coach, Mihir Patel, who's in London, and Stanley Fisher, who's in Tampa, Florida, and Mark is in Asheville, North Carolina. And yeah, basically, we also have a new global community that we've started up called Everyday Conscious Leadership. And this show is where we're coming on and we're talking about what everyday conscious leadership is, and also giving actionable insights and perspectives so that you can also access your own innate leadership abilities and step into your power and already put, what we're learning inside the community also here into practice in your everyday life. So that's a little recap on who we are and what we're doing here for anyone new who's watching, and also for those who are returning. And yes, like Mark said, we brought the topic of service today. I wanted to share, I used to think service was, when I was 16, I had my first job in the grocery store and I worked in the daycare center. And I was always learning that service is to make the customer happy, and customer is king. And so it was sacrifice all my own needs to make other people happy and to perform and get a good grade, or, a good grade in the eyes of my managers and get promotions. But little did I know, when I came to meet, and yes, it took this long, when I came to meet Mark and Mihir, actually last year, and Stanley, I got a whole new view on what it meant to serve and what service is. And that's also part of the reason why I wanted to bring it today to the show. Because service is much more about choosing our behaviors, making, actual intentional choices in terms of how we're behaving to actually bring a certain energy about to any given situation, and not only to serve others and to make ourselves look good or for it to be some means to an end, but to actually serve ourselves in any situation so that others can also be served by us in the same go. So that's my definition where I'm at with service. I'm learning every day more about it because I'm focusing on showing up in service as I build, execute on different projects and build the hub here in Berlin for Everyday Conscious Leadership. But of course, I want to give it back to Mark and Stanley and Mihir, and I would love for you guys to also share your definition on service and, your story, how you came about to realizing, service is this thing which I think Mark would probably bring up, servitude. It's not slaving away for other people so that we look good or for other reasons. It's something entirely different.
Well, that's how you described it, right? When you were younger, your ideas of service were basically actually servitude. And myself as well. My first job that I can remember, active job where I commuted to work, I was 11 years old, and I would take the train in at 3:30 in the afternoon from Norwood to Canton to Boston, where I grew up. I grew up just outside Boston. And it was a 20-minute ride or whatever. I would take the train into town at 11 years old. I would walk to the newsstand, relieve the person who was on duty at the newsstand, and I would sell newspapers on the street in a little metal news shack in the center of Boston, and not such a great area of town at the time. And the guy who I would relieve was the owner of the company, and he would go and take a couple of hours, and then he would come back and close up and drive me home. And he used to say, be polite, be kind, be kind to them, be nice to them. Actually, nice, not kind. Be nice to them, be polite, and and the customer's always right. The customer's always right. But if anything gets out of hand, there's a lead pipe under the counter. In reality, I put up with a lot at 11 years old. People touching me inappropriately, people speaking to me inappropriately. And what did I do? I pasted on a smile. And, it was, yes, sir, can I help you some more? Yeah, it's okay if you want to run your fingers through my hair. That's not creepy at all. Yeah, it is creepy. And it was servitude, not service. And that was my very first experience with service. Not a big surprise that as I went into the service industry, that I, approached service from a completely wrong angle. It was, as Taylor mentioned, service was something done in order to garner some response, right? Approval from somebody, a good review, a tip, a gratuity. Service was something that you provided, you basically subjectified yourself in order to get something. No wonder we have a really negative and dirty connotation with that word service. Because really what it is servitude. Well, when at Creative Self Mastery, the way we look at service, and every coach at Creative Self Mastery takes a pledge of service, not servitude, of service. We pledge from the very beginning of anybody who comes into the coaching program, anybody who plans to be a coach. The very first thing they do is take a pledge to serve themselves, others, and the planet. But we don't. When we say ourselves, we're not talking about our own selfish agendas here. We say we're pledging to serve ourselves, others, and the planet by moving the energy to the best outcome for everybody. When you're working towards an end result that is for the best outcome for everybody, and you are in service to yourself, others, and the planet, that is what we consider true service. That's where miracles happen. So that's me on service. I'll give the others a chance to talk before or stories.
No. That was a great start. Thank you, Mark. Because for me, not too dissimilar, to be honest. Service was something that when I thought about service, I thought about it was the act of giving without receiving. And when you're giving or when you're trying to serve, the assumption unconsciously that I would make, and I think a lot of people make, is that they don't get anything back. They're not allowed to be reciprocated. And what happens is Mark said, that there is, when you're trying to help, you're trying to prove something else. If you're not actually in service, you're actually in helping, you're in people pleasing, you're in what we call proving, and you're trying to prove something else through your act of giving or helping. And it could be you're trying to prove that you're a good person, that you're worthy, that you're good enough, that you're powerful, like fill in the blank, whatever the story is, you're trying to prove through the act of giving that you're viable in some shape or form. But what happens is, because you're trying to prove that's not a true act of service, it's not a true act of giving, because it's what we call, it's a one-way bargain. So there's an unconscious expectation of the other person to show up a certain way, and you are deep down, we all want to be reciprocated, especially when we want to give, truly want to give. But if we don't have a healthy relationship with the act of giving and the act of receiving, it's no longer service, and it's completely different. It's completely dysfunctional, and we set ourselves up to experience conflict within ourselves, and we're no longer in the vibration, we're no longer in the energy of service. So, one of the things that I learned when I chose and I sort of committed to becoming a creative self-mastery coach and to becoming a leader in the field of human, behavior transformation, I realized that if we're truly serving, we're coming from a truly expansive place, a truly abundant place. And we not only can meet the needs of others in a way that's true for us to do so, and that's congruent to us, that's in alignment with our own sort of truth, but we can also receive as well, and we can also experience reciprocity. That was one of the big things that I realize about true service, the true nature of service, it's exponential, it's perpetual, and it's truly abundant. So it's very different to the stark contrast where it's just a one-sided affair and the truth is actually not apparent, it's not explicit, and it's not communicated. That's in the realm of helping, people pleasing, unconscious giving, and proving. Huge distinction. So that's kind of where my growth has been when it's come to truly serving as a leader. It's like everyone gets to eat here, including ourselves, like we say, moving the energy to the best possible direction for all, including ourselves.
So the part that stood out, I mean, everything that these guys are saying is everything that I've been learning at Creative Self-Mastery. The part that I want to point out specifically that served me the most when we talk about service, I historically have been a white knight, coming in, saving people, giving myself over, giving over my authority, just totally losing myself to certain people, well, everybody, but specifically like my mother and her drug addiction, ex-girlfriends, business partners, you name it. I would help. I would go into the helping mode. I want to go prove. But the part of service that I want to point out that specifically served me the most was our definition at Creative Self-Mastery is service is telling people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And that really served me in the face of my mother when I was dealing with her and she'd be attacking me. It really served the situation to know from my heart that I'm going to speak to you directly in a way that serves both of us in the greater good to move, or sometimes to cut the energy and put my focus somewhere else that's going to serve me, which would then turn around and serve everyone involved.
Nice. And one thing I wanted to add, I think the whole thing around communication and energy, it's, when we come to like serving one another, there's this whole piece around expectation. And one of the more powerful things that true service allows you to do is actually, in a healthy way, allows you to actually communicate expectations and to have a real strong dialogue around it. And that's what it means. That's one of the experiences that we have when it comes to moving the energy to the best possible direction for all. So what I was mentioning earlier around the one-way bargains, instead of one-way bargains, we actually go into actually communicating our expectations, highlighting them, becoming self-aware of them, and what we want from other people as well.
So yeah, just to summarize that's service is actually communicating our expectations, speaking directly, telling people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. I love that, Stanley, that you brought that up. And yeah, it's moving the energy in the direction that's going to create the best outcome for all. So it's not just trying to, okay, I want to look good here at this job and be the best cashier on the premises, or I want to be the best coach. It's actually about, wait, what's gonna make this situation successful in terms of, a healthy outcome for everyone. That's what I got from it, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, I want to expand on something Stanley said, because, there's a lot of people believe they're serving because they're helping. We've had a few coaches come through seeing that were just not the right fit for us, because although they were great coaches, they insisted on helping their clients. And at CSM, we don't believe anybody needs help, because the reality is that everybody is powerful. And if you assume that somebody is not powerful, then you are going to fix it for them. And they don't need you to fix it for them. They are powerful enough to fix it for themselves. They may need some assistance. They may need a leg up. They may need a resource that you have. But it doesn't mean that they're powerless, and it doesn't mean that they need you to do it for them. These people, these white knights that ride in on their horses and save the day. We had one coach who loved her to bits, but man, that woman babied her children. Those children couldn't make a decision on their own without her getting involved until she started working with me. And then I was like, for crying out loud, leave the kids alone. They're in their 20s. Let them make their own decisions. They're powerful. You're assuming they're not powerful. You raised powerful children. Why are you treating them like they're not able to make their own decisions? Choosing what people need for them instead of giving them what they're asking for, what they actually genuinely need, is that's helping. Deciding what they need is taking them out of their power. So assuming that people need something from you and they need you in order to be able to get something done or to be able to be the best version of themselves, bullshit, absolute bullshit. Everybody is powerful. People may benefit from an influx of your energy, but it doesn't mean that they can't do it without you. And even if they believe that they can't do it without you, you don't need to reinforce that for them. You need to reinforce the complete opposite, that they don't need anybody, that no condition needs to exist in order to have the experiences that you want to have. All you have to
Yeah.
be is determined to have that experience.
Yeah, I'm really glad you bring that up, Mark.
Sorry, an enthusiastic yes from Taylor. Go, Taylor.
Where you fit? Okay. Yeah, I'm glad you bring it up because it's reminding me of my whole journey so far, with being a coach and being and getting to know a lot of other coaches. It's a lot of us enter this field, and I'm just using coaching because it's one example, but you can see this, like Mark was saying, anywhere in any family with your children, or even if I look at past jobs, like I would start creating tools for people to try and instead of actually listening to what they really needed or were asking for, and then serving in that way, like, okay, let me put my good skills and stuff to use and actually create an outcome that we're all going towards. No, I was often trying to prove, like, look, I can save you, I can save this team. Or even in coaching sometimes, especially in the early years, like, I mean, I'm not that many years in, but like a few years ago, I would catch myself wanting to like push a methodology and show like, no, you're missing this piece, but it was often a reflection of what I felt was missing inside myself. And so I'm bringing this up because I saw you posted earlier, Mark, that we can see it structurally throughout the world, how this shows up and manifests this collective agreement that service is servitude, or to show up and please people and help them. And I wanted to know if any of you actually wanted to speak to that a bit, so that we have it a little bit more on a tangible level for anyone else watching, with some of the current things happening in the world today as well.
Yeah, I'll do my best to kind of try and speak to that. I think on the other end of the spectrum is, we're talking about empowering others. Like, one of the biggest sort of values we have as coaches, as career self-mastery coaches, as hub captains for the ECL, is it is about, empowering people. So what it means to not take people out of their power, to not see them as powerless, to see them as powerful, is to empower them. So therefore serving them in a way to move the energy so that they feel empowered, they feel self-referential, so they can make their own decisions and they can make their mistakes too. They're okay. They feel safe to make their mistakes. And, the other end of the spectrum is, a lot of people think that service is, like you said, you be a savior, you be a hero, and you choose to be where everything lands on your shoulders. You become a beast of burden rather than doing the powerful thing, the thing that would serve, which is what you're really serving is not just other people, but you're really trying to serve a particular end result. And it's your end result is what matters the most. If you're truly in service, your focus is like, okay, what would move the energy to the best possible direction to acquire that, to experience that end result? And sometimes it means you have to call in the cavalry. Sometimes it means you have to delegate. As a leader, you have to delegate responsibility. You have to move the energy. You have to delegate energy to others and empower them with actual responsibility as well. Like, one of the things I think a lot of people, a lot of leaders, a lot of high performers, or anyone that's really good at what they do, they take it upon themselves like, only I can do it. I'm the only one that can get this done. And I've been guilty of that. And then what happens if you do that for a really long time, and it becomes chronic, you not only get further and further away from actually your end result, but it starts building a lot of resentment, and you start actually creating separation with you and the people around you, rather than moving into an energy that says, you know what, let me do the vulnerable thing, do the powerful thing, the thing that would serve, and actually, lean on the people around me and get the support that I want, so that we can get closer to the end result. Because if we carry on the way we are, there's one thing: if we're not in service, I'll tell you guys this right now, the only thing you're trying to achieve unconsciously, for the most part, is you're going to quit. You're going to quit on your end results. You're going to quit on the people around you. You're going to quit on your team. You're going to burn the fuck out, and everything's going to go to shit. But if you're in service, you're like, no, we got a direction. We've got a destination, and that's all that matters. And I'm going to do everything in my power to empower everyone around me, myself, to make sure that we get to that place. So, huge distinction there. So don't be a hero, be a leader. It's a big distinction, and service is the way to do that.
I want to jump on that because I stay out of politics. I stay out of the news. I try and get measured information. And I saw what I thought was a fairly measured, um, you know, explanation of Project 2025. And when I started to understand what Project 2025 is, yeah, you know what I said? I was like, wow, these guys have done a really good job of putting together a structure that people are going to fucking love. Everybody who's, any Republican who's reading it right now is going, yes, yes. And what a great fucking score it is for the Republicans, because they've managed to create an entire system complete with what we're going to do for the first 6 months, all the actionables, all the orientation that anybody could need, and honestly looks like a great plan if you're a Republican. The only problem is it is built by a leader who doesn't actually lead his people as much as he gives his people what he wants them to have. So the Republicans will get what they'll get something, and change will be always feels like transformation. Things will change, and Republicans will be happy. But I'm not convinced that it's going to get them what they believe, what they need, because I don't believe it's designed to get the people what they need. I think it's designed to get the politicians what they need, to get the party what it needs. But I don't think that it actually takes into the needs of it takes into concern what the people actually need. Because Republicans or Democrats, we all need the same thing. We all need to be able to live freely, to have resources at our disposal. We all need the same things. And this is speaking to the needs, not even to the needs of people, but it's to the wants of what the party wants the country to be, not necessarily what will serve the country in becoming, right? But he comes in as a hero, not a leader. That's the fucking point. He's the hero. He is your hero. He tells you he's your hero. He doesn't say, I am your leader. He says, I am your hero. I am going to make America great again. Well, sorry, but I never thought America stopped being great. Right? And therefore, my needs are not reflected in the hero's view. But a good leader will turn around and say, this country needs one thing: to become unified, not split down the middle. And to unify and get people working in service to each other, in service to making this country great again. Yeah, but not great from the perspective of who it can bully, but great from the perspective of, I am proud to live here. This is a shining example of what a country should be. Now, we don't have any leader doing that right now, because they're all giving us what they think we want rather than what we actually need. Yeah, yep. Not leadership, not service.
The part of what both Mark and me here that I want to just kind of single out, that they're both saying, and it's an area I had to work on, and it's the training I got at CSM that helped me do this. I was always conflict avoidant. I would do anything to make the room happy, so I felt safe, instead of speaking from my heart and be direct with people and say what needed to be said. And I may walk away and you may not really like what I had to say, but you'll respect what I had to say because it was in service to all of us.
Yeah, totally. And it's funny because we think people can't handle certain feedback, they can't handle critique, they can't handle just honesty. But I think if you're truly being the type of leader that's in service, you're not afraid of your own emotional state. You're not afraid of the emotional state of others. You're not actually afraid of people's reactions, because the truth is what matters more. And when you have to living the truth, your own personal one and a shared one, then there's no choice, but you have to be in service, and you have to be committed to acting upon the thing that would serve the most. And in most cases, a lot of experiences of leadership and service is about having the right type of conversations, to having those communications. What we mentioned right at the beginning is about that level of direct communication and not being afraid to have the truth, let the truth have its day more than anything. And I think it's not an easy thing to do. It's not at all easy. It's a courageous task as a leader, but there's a huge price to pay when we've all been there, when we've burnt out, we've people pleased, our relationships have broken down, our teams don't want us, like they can't trust us anymore. They've lost faith in us. We don't have the energy anymore to sustain the way we've been, just because we couldn't open our mouths and we couldn't get clear on what was the truth and share that with one another. And because one thing about the truth, it will kind of hurt you when you speak it and you realize it, but it will set you free. It sets everyone free. And your number one job as a leader is to get to the end result and to the destination. But what Mark said, especially with the whole situation with the US and the election, is unification. As a team, you want everyone in your corner. You want everyone to be aligned. Everyone can have their own unique experience, but we're all committed to a single unified end result or destination, and everyone can have their own experience of it. That, as a leader, is your sole responsibility, to move the energy towards that direction, whilst everyone can get all their needs, their actual needs met, just as much as the common need met.
I'm really glad that you bring up unity, or echo Mark on unity, because we are reaching our 30-minute mark now as well. And I think that's a great note actually to end on today, because on August 5th, all four of us in each of our respective cities, we're going to be hosting our first breakfast meetup for Everyday Conscious Leadership. So in Berlin, in London, in Asheville, and also in Tampa. And we're going to be meeting on the topic of service. And we're going to be holding a talk about service, and we're going to be coming together, unifying together as everyday conscious leaders, and everyone should come along and bring their stories as well with service. And I know at my event, there's going to be food and it's really chill chairs to hang out in and stuff. So I wanted to bring that up at the end, that you're all invited. If you want to come, just DM us, let us know, and we will make sure you get on the list. Mark, Stanley, Mahir, would you like to talk a bit about your events or say any parting words before we head off for today? Yeah, awesome.
First of all, I'd like to put out an open call to anybody out there who wants to be a hub captain. We're happy to start hubs. We're working on hubs right now in Warsaw and Paris as well. But we're happy to start a hub anywhere where somebody who wants to be a captain and wants to run their own events and also wants to run our global events with us. So we do a global event every month, and then we ask you to do at least one private event, one local event for your hub. That can be completely up to you. You'll get complete discretion as to how you hold your own event, and we do ask you to hold the global event in a very specific structure. So yeah, if anybody's interested in becoming a hub captain, please reach out to any of us. And yeah, as far as my event, look, I don't know. I'm still debating. Horses are my life, really, and I really like to try and bring horses into of my kind of business experience as possible. But this is a food-based thing. We'll probably just be meeting in town, Asheville, at a local coffee shop I'm going to see if I can't court Citizen Vinyl to let us in there. It's a nice little meeting space. And, we're going to do an event designed to get local leaders. And look, let's just define local leader. You're a leader. You're either a leader or you're a follower. And even if you're a follower, it's an opportunity to lead, because even as a follower, you have some say in where the energy is directed. And so everybody is potentially leading or following in every situation they're in. And conscious leadership is making better decisions based on a better set of parameters, looking at things a different way. And that's what we teach at Creative Self-Mastery. And that is what we're sponsoring here with these events with Everyday Conscious Leadership. That's my pitch.
Awesome. Here's Stanley.
Yeah, sorry. What I'm looking for in Tampa are guest speakers. Our event's coming together for August 5th, and I'm looking for guest speakers and sponsors, mainly sponsors. If you are looking to kind of expand a reach and help bring leaders to us and serve us with maybe food intake or places to crash, please let us know. Reach out to me privately and let's have that conversation.
Awesome.
Nice. Yeah, same for me. Sponsors and speakers in the city of London. So if you're catching this and you're in London, I've got an amazing person that's already doing the coffee for the breakfast. It's my guys at the coffee studio down in Greenwich. The venue is to be announced still, so you'll know about that very shortly. But this is a global movement. So if you're happening to be traveling into London, the first week, always come down and be part of the live experience of this conversation that we'll have in London. And these will be all, the plan is to post all of our talks on a platform. We're building an online platform as well as an in-person one. So look out for that. But yeah, sponsors and speakers, hit me up, hit any of us up if this calls to you in any shape or form. And yeah, and I want to say one last thing around what Mark said around the, look, just as much as leadership, there's also followership as well. It's a reciprocal experience that you're going for as a leader, right? Even as a follower, you're still a leader. And even as a leader, you're still a follower in some shape or form. And we're trying to create something that's mutually reciprocal here. So come to these events, and we want to serve you in empowering you to be the type of leader that you want to be. So I can't wait for this to explode. So yeah, please come along.
Yeah, me too. It already is exploding, but I want to add something to me here, because even if you're choosing to be a follower, that's leadership in itself. That's self-leadership. Okay, today I'm going to actually choose to follow because I got no business right now leading a bunch of people or leading ABC situation. That brings us back to our first conversation. Mark had said that too. Like, if you're not up to the task, then don't even bother. So that's leadership in itself, to be like, oh, I'm not up for the task. Okay, let me lay down my crown for today. Yeah. So yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you're not up to the task, then or you don't want to be the one responsible for leading. It doesn't mean that following isn't leadership. Following is an act of self-leadership, and that personal leadership is what we teach at Creative Self-Mastery. In the programs that I do with the horses, we teach we teach team building and leadership in the corporate world. But at Everyday Conscious Leadership and at Creative Self-Mastery, we teach personal leadership. Personal leadership is keeping yourself in alignment with your values and moving from a sense of, making conscious decisions that will serve the situation. And you have to cultivate a certain mindset to be able to do that. And that mindset is service. So it doesn't matter whether you're leading or following. If you're in service, you are going to be kind of back and forth on the leading following scale.
Awesome. Okay. Once again, thank you, Mark, Stanley, Mihir, for joining me in our Notes on Conscious Leadership chat today. We'll be back again next Monday for everyone. This in the recording. And thank you for joining in. And yeah, see you soon, and hopefully see you as well on August 5th. Bye.